You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. And be sure to smash that like button. So Ed Orgeron did confirm the injury on Monday. And Tuesday, he was off the bench with Hester and T-Bob for his weekly visit. And naturally, they were going to talk a lot about the injury. And here were Ed Orgeron's thoughts and reaction to the news that Brennan is out with an arm injury.
Yeah, very unfortunate. Myles was competing, was fighting to be the starting quarterback at LSU, fought back, had a great spring, had a great summer, had an unfortunate accident. He's getting operated this morning. Our prayers are with Myles and his family. It was tough. His dad and his mom took it hard. I'm sure Myles took it hard. I didn't get to talk to him yet. I called him yesterday, but I'm sure he was very upset.
Yeah.
But we're going to follow him all the way through this. The first thing that Myles' family is such a competitor, the first thing they want to know is eligibility left. When's the timeline for him to come back? When can he compete to come back and finish his career at LSU? And you got to appreciate that.
So that is a really good question, and I have been asked that a good bit. Yesterday, immediately, a lot of people asked about could LSU tap into the transfer portal to get some depth? And the answer to that question is no, because LSU doesn't have an initial 25. Remember, they signed 23 last year and then added Mike Jones and Major Burns, and so they used their extra 2 initial 25 spots, so they don't have any other spots to add anybody. But as far as eligibility, remember, 2020 didn't count against anybody. So a lot of people have asked about a medical red shirt. It's not necessary because Myles Brennan is a classified junior. He has another year anyway because 2020 didn't count for anybody. The NCAA gave a blanket waiver for last year. So if Brennan wanted to come back, even if he didn't play at all this year, if he wanted to come back, even if he did play, if he wanted to come back in 2022, he would have that option. Now, for a guy that was part of the 2017 signing class, it's hard to imagine Myles Brennan spending another year in Baton Rouge after this one, especially if Max Johnson establishes himself here moving forward as the starting quarterback. So that remains to be seen, but that's the eligibility question that a lot of people might be wondering. Now, Orgeron also did elaborate on the depth chart with Brennan out, which starts with the obvious, that it's now Max Johnson's team.
Well, obviously, Max is going to be our starter. He's got to have a great camp. The depth chart is etched in sand, and he knows he's got to perform. But I believe in Max, just like I believe in Myles. And I think we got us a great quarterback, a great championship quarterback. Garrett's going to have to step up. Garrett's a very talented young man. I'm glad we got him. And, he just got to learn the offense, step up, and be able to take care of the football. He had some unfortunate picks in the spring, but I know he's going to get better with experience. And then Matt O'Dowd. Matt, I'm glad we got a walk-on quarterback. He becomes a third-string quarterback. But we got to keep Max healthy. That's going to be the key.
So Matt O'Dowd, who he referenced there, is a name many may not know, but O'Dowd committed to LSU as a preferred walk-on back in February. He went to Marjorie Stoneman Douglas down in Florida, which is a place I think many people know. There was a tragic shooting at that school. It's also, incidentally, where Sean Ochinko, former LSU baseball player, played his high school ball. But Matt O'Dowd was a quarterback at Stoneman Douglas and committed to LSU as a walk-on, so as a preferred walk-on. So he's now your number 3, which means Garrett Nussmeier is your number 2. And Orgeron did also talk a bit more here about Garrett Nussmeier, who steps up into that role.
Next man up. And this is a great talk to the team. You never know when your time's going to come. I told the team in the spring, we're going to need everybody. And stuff happens during the season. Here's something that happened right before we start. It's very unfortunate. But hey, we got to move on. We got to move forward. Garrett's going to step up. And look, he's a coach's son. He's a great young man. He's going to step up. He's going to be ready.
Garrett Nussmeier obviously was an early enrollee, and it's a great thing that he was because he was here for spring, and he did have some interceptions in the spring game. And it's one of the things that we often see with freshmen transitioning from the high school level to the college level, your reaction time, which is almost a programmed reaction after you've taken so many reps, what your brain processes quickly as far as a receiver being open or the recovery time of a back. It's very different when you go from high school, even at the highest level, to the college level, especially at the SEC level. So Nussmeier in time with reps will improve there, but let's hope we don't have to see it. It, of course, is Max Johnson's offense with Myles Brennan out. And Orgeron, and this is something that I alluded to yesterday, and I'm sure a lot of you thought as well, but listen, when you have one quarterback who has played in a game, and he's now your starter, and your backup is a true freshman, you have to limit any unnecessary contact. So does that limit what Jake Peetz might be willing to do with Max Johnson under center?
You know, it reminds me of 18 again, when we had Joe Burrow and Myles Brennan. And we only had two quarterbacks on scholarship, and we did very well. There's some things that, that Max does very well. Extend plays with his feet. We're going to let him do those things. There are some things that we can do, some things that we can't do. We're going to see, but we have to be careful on how we use them, no question.
So I'll remind you, and I've said for a while now that this season, for me, is a 2018 redo. You're starting to hear Ed Orgeron say that. He mentioned it last week at SEC Media Days, or a couple weeks ago at SEC Media Days, and then he mentioned it again today and a few times since. But if you remember in 2018, LSU had Lowell Narcisse and Justin McMillan transfer out during fall camp. And that left Joe Burrow, who had not played yet, and a redshirt freshman, maybe he's a sophomore classification, I think he's a redshirt freshman, Myles Brennan as your only two scholarship quarterbacks. And then they had a walk-on as the backup. And we later learned that at a point during the 2018 season, Brennan actually got injured in practice. And so he was not available. Even though he was dressed, he was not available to play in games. So there were games in 2018 where LSU went in with one scholarship quarterback, and it was Joe Burrow, and that was it. So I'd imagine that is a bit of a familiar feeling for Orgeron and also a bit of an uncomfortable feeling, knowing how thin you are at that spot. But one of the things that we've talked about a bit with Jake Peetz is he likes the RPO game. And as Urban Meyer, I think, explained best, an RPO is a run with a pass option. The play call is a run, and you have the option to pass if it's there. Well, you can run, obviously, with a back, or the quarterback can run. So if you're not willing to allow your quarterback to run, it does sort of eliminate that option. And that's probably going to be the reality facing LSU right now. They got to drill it into Max Johnson's head. Man, if you take off, get down. Get to the sideline or get down. Do not take a hit, because what's behind him isn't good right now. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.